Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Madden Franchise Info Series. We are on episode 3 here, and we are going to be talking about the salary cap and managing contracts for your franchise. If you missed the other episodes that we've done, episodes 1 and 2, we've went through how to set up your franchise and how to set up the settings to personalize your franchise. From here on out, we're going to be focusing more on kind of the gameplay aspects and the managing aspects of your team, as well as the different times of year that are going to be important in your franchise. So let's go ahead and jump in. We're going to talk about the salary cap first, what it is, where to find it, and kind of how to manage it. So going over to the team tab, we're going to go down to My Team and then down to Salaries. So this screen is going to pop up, and what you're going to see is you're going to see your entire roster of players, which you can sort however you want. You can sort it by overall, you can sort it by how much you're paying them, you can set it by how many years are remaining on their contract, whatever you like. You can see at the top of the screen, you can see what the 2020 cap is, so it's 210 million here. What the 2020 cap penalties are for the team that's in this franchise, which is currently nothing. Our 2021 cap penalty, which is currently nothing. What our current salaries are, which is 168 million. Our total cap space, which is 42.4 million. And our rookie reserve, which is $0. Now, the rookie reserve, what that is going to be later on in the season, that is going to be based off of your draft picks. So Madden will automatically calculate how much money you are going to need for your draft picks, because when you draft a player, there is a set salary, which we will go over here. We'll look at some rookies. There is a set salary for players coming out of the draft, and you have to be aware of that when you're trading draft picks or trading away draft picks. Sometimes trading draft picks and managing them can actually be a way of managing your cap and your contracts. So let's go ahead and look at what we get for numbers here. So let's look at Aaron Donald here. So we can see all of his measurables, right? We can see his position, his age, his overall, the length of his contract, how many years are remaining, total, the bonus, and then we can see the current year and then 4 years into the future what he is going to be paid. We also have two columns here. We have the savings column and the penalty column. Now this basically says for this season, if we were to get rid of Aaron Donald, we would save $17 million, which if you're playing as a coach is not that big of a deal. If you were playing as an owner, you would be responsible for the funds that you need to pay your players. So this column here is more important as an owner, because then you would need to be able to manage how much money you are bringing in as a franchise through ticket sales, through merchandise, through your concessions, and you would need to manage how much you're paying your players. You can't max out your cap at 100% every season if you're not making the money to be able to pay them. The penalty shows what your cap penalty is going to be. The 24 million gets broken down over 2 seasons, depending on where you are at in your league. In the regular season, you will notice that if you trade a player who still has at least 2 years left on their contract, the game will take the signing bonus, total signing bonus, minus how many years have been used up in the contract. You will pay 25% of that in the first year, which is this year, and you'll pay the remaining 75% of that as a cap penalty next year, right? So if we were going to look at somebody who had, let's say for instance, they have a $100 million contract going into their second year, right? So you have a 5-year contract and you have 4 years remaining and you have $100 million signing bonus, right? 25% of that, or 20 million, would be returned as a cap penalty for this season, and you would be on the hook for 60 million of that cap penalty for next season. So you add those up, 60 and 20 is 80. Total bonus would have been 100, but because he only has 4 years left on his contract, we divide the $100 million signing bonus by 4, so you get 20 million per year. You have 4 years left, so you still have 80 million that you need to pay that player. So you need to be careful when you're signing players too, because you cannot be paying these low overall guys these ridiculous contracts, because if you do, you're going to get handcuffed. You can't be paying these guys all this ridiculous amount of money, because you will get handcuffed. And then when you try to cut them or trade them, which by the way, there is no difference. If you have a player on your roster, it doesn't matter if you cut them or if you trade them, you will incur a cap penalty if they have a signing bonus. Now, that's in the regular season. If it's in the off season, you will incur the total signing bonus as penalty in 1 year. Right? So in the example that I used, we had $80 million left. You would take 80 million straight up in 1 year. So you have to be very, very careful. Moving on. So you can see here, so bonus 40 million, that's what we would be going off of, and it would be going in as a cap penalty or as a saving. So just something to look at there. Let's see if we can find any rookies. So let's see here. So let's go to the Bengals, right? Joe Burrow was the first overall pick. So you can see here, you can't negotiate this contract. This is a contract that you will be given for your first. This would be a first overall contract. It's a $36.2 million contract with a $34.2 million bonus over 4 years. First round picks are expensive. If you're a team that does not have a lot of cap space and you're trying to trade, you want all the best rookies in the draft and you want to build this super team, well, you better make sure you have the cap space to do it. Because if you are already a stacked team and you're pushing the cap, loading up on first round draft picks isn't going to be the greatest idea. You're going to have to pay them. So that's something you need to consider too when guys are coming up for contracts and when they are needing to be traded, anything like that. So let's leave that screen. Let's go to the trade screen. I just want to show you guys that what a trade looks like. So let's just throw a player into this trade. So Cooper Kupp, let's say. So it shows you cap hit of 2.39, right? So as soon as I put him in that trade, you'll notice that the Rams gain that cap room back at 44.6, and the Bears cap room goes down at 19.8. So what you need to know is that if you're trying to find a trade partner, you're going to need to find a team that has the cap to be able to take on the player that you are trying to trade. So again, if you have all these superstar players, you might not be able to trade them. I've noticed, especially when you get into the second, third, fourth year, the computer does not do a very good job of cap management. They are always pushing the cap. So you might not be able to trade some of these guys. Some of these guys are going to be probably going to free agency, and then the computer will bid on them there. You might be able to get them back at a discount, but again, you need to watch your cap. So you can see here, once I remove, if you're watching the 44.6 cap room on the Rams, as soon as I remove them, brings back the original cap room number. So that's what happens when you trade. So let's go ahead and so let's take a look at salaries again. And you'll see when a guy is on the last year of his contract, there's no penalty. So that's weird. Why is there no penalty? I'll tell you why. If you follow the NFL, you'll know that Jalen Ramsey was traded from the Jacksonville Jaguars to the Los Angeles Rams. So it's just a coincidence that he's on the last year of his contract. But what did we say about trades before? In Madden, if a team trades trades a player away, they need to eat the signing bonus. The signing bonus is what's tied to the cap penalty for any trade or release of a player. So you'll notice here, Jalen Ramsey has 0 penalty because the Rams got him in a trade. The player gets paid by the team that traded him away. So it doesn't matter what the bonus is that it's showing you here. So 13.3. I can trade Jalen Ramsey before I sign him to a new contract with no penalty whatsoever. So that's something you need to understand too. If you get a player in a trade and you don't want to sign him, so let's say you get a stud receiver, he's got 3 years left on his contract's up, and you realize, he's pushing kind of that 28, 29 years old. I've got some younger guys. I might want to trade him. What does my cap look like? It won't matter because you got that player in a contract and your penalty is going to be absolutely nothing. You can basically use him as an asset in a trade and it will cost you absolutely nothing. So that's something else to look at too. You'll notice that because the penalty is derived from the amount of years that are remaining on the contract and the signing bonus, that the more years you have left on your contract, the bigger the penalty is. And then on the flip side of that, the bigger the less years they have on their contract, the lower the penalty is going to be. So that's something that we need to look at as well. So if you want to, something that I do sometimes is I'll go through and I'll sort by remaining years so that I can look and see how many guys I'm going to have to pay. These kind of 58 overall guys here, probably not that big of a deal. So looking at some of these guys, maybe Austin Blythe, maybe I'm going to use him as a starter for a couple more years. So maybe I'll sign him to a contract over the next, maybe 2 or 3 years. Samson Abukum, might want to keep him around. He's an 80 overall. John, 24 years old, 84 overall. Maybe I'll look at my scheme. And it might depend on what's coming up in the draft as well, which is something that we will go over in another episode because that is a whole different beast. But that is something that you'll have to consider when you're doing trades and doing releases. You want to make sure that you understand the cap and understand the penalties so that you don't screw yourselves over. Okay, guys, so that was episode 3. We talked about contracts. We talked about salary cap. We talked about trades and releasing a player and how that will affect your cap. Just remember that if you release a player who is still under contract, who you didn't trade for, so assuming that the player will incur a penalty when you release them or trade them, you will pay 25% of the remaining total bonus this year and the remaining 75% the following year. That is why it shows 2 years up here and not anything past that, because it's only 2 years. You're only stuck with that money for 2 years, so you don't have to worry about it. So thanks again for watching, guys. This has been episode 3 on salary cap and contract management. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you got anything out of this video, or if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. We'll be coming out with more episodes here. I also go live on Twitch. We're going to be rebuilding the Lions over there live on Twitch. And yeah, thanks for the support, guys. I really do appreciate it. And we will see you next time.